Hey guys, Rob Skiba here. As many of you may already know, I had a debate on Flat Earth with Zach Bauer in Beaumont, Texas on February 28th. I think it was February 20th. Anyway, sometime toward the end of February. And toward the end of the debate, we opened up the floor to questions from the audience. And there was one person who challenged me on my flight path. I showed that the flight that I took to Kenya is a straight line on the flat Earth map, or the azimuthal equidistant map. And so that person basically said, "You mean the one you said is not accurate?" Because I was making the comment earlier that the basically the AE map is essentially a ball that has been squashed. Well, I may have to reconsider that idea. I do believe that the AE map, as it is being used today, is a representation of a polar azimuthal equidistant map based on the projection of a flat plane circular map from a globe. That's the way it's used today. However, I'm beginning to question that whole idea and taking another look at the azimuthal equidistant map, specifically the new standard map of the world, or the Gleason flat Earth map, as it's sort of being become known as these days. Now, this map, you could just do a Google search on it, or you can go to this website that I have up here, maps.bpl.org/ID/15442, and this will show you the map right there, and you can actually download a printer-friendly version, or I would recommend the full size. Download that. As a matter of fact, I just did that earlier today. I downloaded it, and because I really wanted to take a closer look at it. I've seen it online many times and have used it in some of my blogs and whatnot, but I really wanted to have a printed copy in hand. And so if you actually download the full size version, you get a really good size map. I mean, it's like 15 by 22, I think, something like that. I took it to Office Max and had it printed up for about $18 and laminated. And so I'm really happy with the way it came out. It's a nice size map. It's big enough that you can read everything and check it out. And yeah, I'm actually beginning to wonder if perhaps this map isn't leaving a code for us. I heard another YouTuber mention it. Forgive me, I don't remember who it was, but there was another YouTuber out there that was putting forth the idea that maybe this thing is leaving a code here. Originally, it had two arms, full-length arms that you could use to measure things with right here. And this one's cut off right here. Interestingly enough, it is going right over the nation state of Israel right here at 33 degrees. Israel is right under here. So, I don't know what this means right here. It's cut off at about the 25-degree latitude or so right here, and it's pointing at a 55-degree angle. Best I could tell, it's about 55 degrees off center here toward the 930 mark. Is this a code? I don't know. It'd be pure speculation, anything I would say at this point. But this is what I want to revisit. I'm taking another look at this azimuthal equidistant map because I was looking up the terms and why it's called that. It's called an azimuthal equidistant map because it's an azimuth reading off of the North Pole. So, if you're standing on the North Pole with a compass, you can take an azimuth in any of these directions, and it will take you to the appropriate place, whatever you want to get to. So if you want to get to the United States, you take a reading off of here, off this line right here, and you'll get there no problem. But you'll note that it also said equidistant. And this is where I think many people are making a mistake. I know I certainly was. And I have a suspicion, and I'm not saying anything definitively here, I'm just guessing, that this is the same mistake that Tiger Dan may have made, which caused him to have his meltdown when he was trying to create a quote-unquote accurate flat Earth map. I'm beginning to think this may actually be an accurate flat Earth map. I mean, it says right at the top of this thing that is Gleason's new standard map of the world on the projection of J.S. Christopher, Modern College, Blackheath, England, scientifically and practically correct as it is. So this map is claiming to be accurate, at least as of November 15th, 1892, which I would remind you is right after Dr. Samuel Robenham wrote Zetetic Astronomy, and after William Carpenter wrote 100 Proofs Earth's Not a Globe. That was 1885, I believe. The 1865 for Zetetic Astronomy, and 1885 for 100 Proofs. So this is 1892. So it's right in that time period when people were talking about this anyway. And this map claims to be scientifically and practically correct as it is. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to take a look at this thing as if it was scientifically accurate. But when I was trying to figure out the deal with the equidistant part, somebody had sent me on Facebook this graphic right here showing, and this is one of the two reasons I have had a hard time embracing flat Earth theory, is that the two big ones for me right now are trying to figure out what's going on with the flights in the so-called southern hemisphere, specifically the flights that supposedly direct flights from Chile to Sydney, Australia. And so this is a graphic done by a pilot. He says, I fly over a globe, otherwise none of what I do would work. Simple as that. And it shows this flight path right here, allegedly going under the ball to Sydney. So I started looking at this and figured, okay, you know, when you just look at it the way it is right here, this seems like a massive distance to fly, until you realize this map is created to be equidistant. Now, what does that mean? Well, let me go ahead and put the flight path up here. That's roughly the path. I mean, it's probably not exact, but just figuring something like this is what it would have to look like in order to emulate this right here on the ball. Okay, so this is a rough estimate of the flight path right here. Well, when I was considering the whole idea of it being equidistant, I went ahead and created another measurement bar right here. Apparently this is a distance measuring bar of some sort. So I went ahead and created another one right here. And I've got it, center is actually somewhere right around here. This is off center. You can kind of tell how it's not quite right, you know, based on the circle right here. So I believe I've got this pretty close to the correct location for center. So I created it so it would go all the way down. And you notice, let me go ahead and zoom in here. You notice that it's basically 3 bars per circular line here. So you got the circular line, and you got 1, 2, 3, another circular, 1, 2, 3, another circular, and so forth. So just to kind of illustrate that a little better here, what this map is apparently designed to do is to show you each of these grids are equal. Now it looks like it's fanning out right here, but this is just a distortion necessary for the creation of this map for everything to be on a circle and still be equidistant. So this square right here is identical in terms of distance to this one right here. It's equidistant. This is 3 bars. Let me show you the second one here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, right? And you also got 1, 2, 3. So if you just kind of carry these lines forward, you know, from see how this is white right here, black, white, take this line and keep that going all the way, take this line and going all the way right here. This square in terms of distance is identical to this square right here in terms of distance. So I went ahead and created the squares to show you each of these squares right here are all the same distance, height and width, if I can use those terms. All right. So with that being the case, I thought, okay, so I mean, I just showed you that this is a consistent black, white, black, white, black, white, 3 per and 3 per. So it is consistent. It's just scaled for the purpose of creating lines on a disk. But what it's telling you again is this distance, this square right here, in terms of height and width, is identical to this one in terms of height and width. All right? Hopefully you're following me here. So I went ahead and created sort of a fan right here and staggering the squares so it's not confusing, so you can see. Okay, and the reason I did this was because I wanted to get an idea of distance. When you go on Google Earth, for instance, and you look at the United States of America and you look at Australia, they're pretty close to the same size. And in fact, if you use the measuring tool here, and let's say we go from here, let's say to here, it's 2,479.68 miles. Let's just say 2,500 miles wide, just getting a rough estimate here. And let's do a height deal. And 1,899.79 miles tall, if you will. Let's just say 1,900. So it's 1,900 by 2,500, roughly. Well, let's do the same thing with the United States. Let's say we'll go from here across to here. It's 2,620.67, so let's just say 2,600 miles across. So it's very close, 2,600 miles across to Australia's 2,500 miles across. And let's do height, let's say from Texas, oops, from Texas up to this little point right here. And that's 1,627.17, so let's just say 1,600. So we got 2,600 by 1,600 for the US and 2,500 by 1,900 for Australia. So very close. Well, if you take my little fan here that I've created here, showing the equidistant grids, and let me just swing that over, move the center point here, so I can swing it, swing. So 3 grids across, 1, 2, 3, and this is all very rough, but just to get a rough idea here, 1, 2, 3 grids across, and it's a pretty good sized grid right there. You know, if you just slid the thing down, Texas continues down here, so if you just slid this down here, that's pretty good. So one grid height wise is equal to about 1,600 miles roughly. Okay, and 1, 2, 3 grids across is roughly 2,600 miles. 3 across, 26, 1 up, 1,600. So let's swing this little fan doohickey here over Australia. And you'll see that it's not quite as wide. Again, Australia was 2,500 miles across. The United States was 2,600. So it's not quite 3 grids across. Not quite 3 grids across. And I measured on the point side here. So, and it was 1,900. And from here to here, so we got 1 and about a half, 1.5. So at 19, now remember on the United States, it was roughly 1 grid was 1,600, but Australia is 1,900, and it's about 1.5 or so, give or take. So it's pretty close. This is pretty close. It's pretty accurate in terms of equidistant, looking at the grids right here. So that being the case, if we look at this flight path right here, it looks like it's dipping down a bit to get kind of close to Antarctica right here. Some people have claimed to have looked out the window and seen it and taken pictures of it. So it must get, you know, relatively close. So it looks like it's kind of a curved path, gets close here and then swings back up. So that's why I've got this kind of dipping down a bit right here, you know, over Antarctica. and coming around this way right here. So again, if we consider this fan of the grid of 3 going across here as equal to approximately 2,600 miles or so, let's say right about here. Close enough. Okay, so just off the edge of Chile here, we've got 3 going to this one right here at the 8 o'clock position. Swinging over here to there, that's taking us to the 11 o'clock position right here. That's 2 fans worth, and swinging up to here, actually just shy of there, but I'll just go ahead and put it right on the 11 o'clock position right there. So we've got roughly 3 fan distances across right here at 2,600 miles width. So 2,600 times 3 is 7,800 miles. But if we zoom in here, this is past Sydney. Not sure how far the distance would be. And again, this is all very, rough estimates here. But let's just say roughly 7,500. Well, if you go Google direct flight Santiago, Sydney, you got this Qantas flight right here, supposedly nonstop, 14 hours, 15 minutes, nonstop. And if you go on Google Earth, I've already got this plotted out here, from Santiago, dipping down kind of close to Antarctica, and then over to Sydney right here. That's this path right here, and that comes out to 7,121. So close. Okay, 7,000 and change. So this is 7,121 on here. So let's just do the math here. Let's say just 7,200, and planes typically fly 500 plus miles per hour. So just divided by 500 gives us 14.4 hours of flight time. 14 hours and 15 minutes. So that's pretty darn close. That's what it's saying the flight time for Google Earth ball would be. And looking at this right here, within a few hundred miles, again, this is sloppy right here. So, somebody who's smarter than I am with math and has more time to play around with angles, we're coming up with pretty close to the same thing within a few hundred miles. So this flight would be 14 hours and change, depending on how fast the plane is flying. Some say if they fly a little bit faster than 500 miles per hour. And if that's the case, then you would, even on the flat Earth map, you would still get there in the same amount of time. So, give or take fudge factors here of a few hundred miles, it's pretty accurate. Again, I'm just winging it right here. And I'm thinking that this may be a lot closer to the truth than I had previously thought before. And I wish I had more time to unpack it. I wish I had more time to really dig into this. I don't. I just wanted to make this video so that somebody else out there who does have more time could maybe pick up where I left off and see what you come up with. But we got to bear in mind when we're looking at this map that it is equidistant. That is the most important thing right here. And so obviously the drawing of the continents and whatnot has to be skewed somewhat. So it's not necessarily giving us an accurate depiction of the shape and size of the continents, although probably pretty close. I mean, this one at least shows Greenland at its appropriate size compared to Africa, as opposed to the Mercator map that shows Greenland about the same size as Africa. So, and again, if you haven't seen my video that we can't trust maps, check that one out too, because all the ball Earth maps that have been created on a flat plane are completely distorted for various reasons also. So main thing I just wanted to point out was the equidistant part, and suggest to the community out there at large that maybe we need to rethink this as possibly being scientifically and practically accurate as it is. Just some food for thought. All right. You guys pick up where I left off. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, and share it with your friends and family. All right. So until next time, stay on the quest for truth.